this is not good. My battery's gonna die. That's not good.
I'll make it real hard. I have Dr. Helper's on my
Okay. All right, we'll call to order the Ravenna City Council meeting for Monday, February 5th at 6 p.m. The first item on the agenda is a moment of meditation and silence. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And Chelsea, would you call the roll?
Mr. Kelfi?
Here.
Ms. West? Here. Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Karras?
Here.
Ms. Wood? Mr. Harper?
Here. Do we have a motion to excuse Ms. Wood this evening?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next item on the agenda is approval of meeting minutes for the special city council meeting of December 29th and the regular city council meeting of January 2nd. Were there any additions or corrections to either of those? Hearing none, do we have a motion to accept as submitted?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next item is communications. We had a financial disclosure reminder, the filing that's due from the Ohio Ethics Commission that should be in your packet. Was there anything else, Chelsea? Okay. Well, with that, we'll move on to delegations from the public. And Mr. Wisniewski, we can kick it off with you.
Well, Mayor Seaman, President Kluge, members of council, administrators of the city of Ravenna. First, I'd like to say thank you. It's good seeing so many familiar faces. It's good to be back here. But I'd like to just say thank you for what's going to happen tonight when you vote on behalf and support of the Ravenna levy. On behalf of the 1,954 students of Ravenna schools, our staff and students, I just want to say thank you on behalf of that for our March levy. One of the things that impresses me, and I want to thank you for this, is when you drive down and see the growth and the development that's happening in our community, just as you drive down Chestnut Street, the wonderful things that are happening there in future areas in this city. What a thank you to all of you and to the administration for making that happen. But one thing struck me is that when these people begin to come into these areas, one of the things families are going to begin to look at is what will they receive when they come to Ravenna? The services that families will get in this town are second to none. Always been so good. Thank you for that, from our police to all city street services. But I think another thing that families will look if they're moving into this area is about education, the school district. So I'm going to take just a brief time. I talked to Mr. Kluge, I can just share a little bit about the wonderful things that are happening with the school district in Ravenna. I'm happy to say I've been part of that district for 23 years. I'm retired now. But I'm just saying there's such good things that happen. There's so many programs that have grown to help kids individually, plus collectively, to grow in partnerships with the businesses and just in the school system. One example is that when you walk into the high school, you'll see these words: enrollment, enlistment, and employment. From the moment the child comes into our school district, there's a goal to get the child, when they're graduating, in one of those three elements. And it's true that there are times in past years when a student walks across that stage, they don't have a clear direction to where they're going out of one of those three elements: enrollment, enlistment, or employment. So there's been a program in place this year working with the businesses and with those students identified who have no clue what's going to happen when they graduate. So there is a program in partnership with the kids that are struggling. What am I going to do? So academic is part of it, but it's working with the business community and these kids. So I think that's a wonderful opportunity what's been happening. And the reality, what you're going to pass today is the levy and support, but it's been 19 years that the Ravenna School District has been good stewards of operating money. The last time we passed operating money was 2005. As council, you know what that means. The services that have to be provided. The expenditures, and I think what's happened is what's very, very real, is that expenditures are exceeding what we're able to bring in by revenue. The consistent example, look at our utility costs. Look what's happened to all of us since COVID. Those purchases have gone up and increased. The purchase services have. So what does the Ravenna District has done in recent times? We have done what's called a reduction in force. It's RIF. 14.5 teachers have been let go. That's a reality. That equates to about $650,000. That's less teachers for less kids in our district. Also, 5 staff members have taken advantage of a retirement, early retirement. So those 2 actions have saved the district about $1 million. It's still not enough. And I heard somebody once said this expression over the years since I've been with the district: when you cut, you bleed. We did make cuts. But I need to share this also too, is that some of us in this room have attended Ravenna schools. Our family members have. We have closed Tappan School as an elementary building. We have closed Carlin School as an elementary building. We sold the school board office on Main Street. We've consolidated services. So what used to be the Carlin School is preschool, and a consolidation of many services of programs that are being done out of the Carlin building. State report card. We see it, we look upon it, and it's true. Ravenna is faced with the reality of 43% problem with attendance. That's chronic. That's an example of what's happening. But somebody shared these thoughts. It's not an excuse. But since COVID, all of our lives, and especially, let's take a look at our kids. They were educated at home. Zoom learning, kids stayed at home. How many parents, how many of us worked from home? How many of us, parents, pick up the phone or their cell phone and order their food from Walmart? How many of us call off to Amazon? Packages are delivered to the porch. So for some of our kids, the reality, parents work from home, all these other realities from home since COVID, yes, we're faced with the real reality of chronic absenteeism, but we're beginning to address it more, but it's the reality of our lifestyle. But I need to share some positives. In the last 2 years, we had a 1-star rating out of 5. Ravenna now is at 2.5. There's been an improvement. Our graduation rates were in the 70s. We're at 90.7%. There's been an improvement. Our algebra scores have increased 13% in the state. Algebra. We've implemented new reading programs for our kids. The scores are reflecting that. They're growing. We offer full-day kindergarten. You don't have to have full-day kindergarten. It's wonderful for families. It's wonderful for kids. We offer full-day kindergarten. We offer preschool. And a lot of people in our community don't realize this, that there's a sliding scale. The benefit of children, and all of us understand, from 3, 4, 5-year-olds starting school before kindergarten, what an advantage it is for children to have that. We do offer that. And there's just been a program instituted with our preschool right now that a lot of time moms and dads all of a sudden are letting their 3- and 4-year-old out of the house into a school. So that we've instituted a program where parents get together along with the children. So there's field trips or learning experiences with the children and their parents. And there's also opportunities now that a lot of our families can't afford some of these wonderful programs in Cleveland or Akron for education and learning. There are funds available that we try to help families to learn. And we find that the preschool parents now are starting to be more close together because they have a commonality. So I think there's some beautiful programs that are happening for our kids. Every May we start to see it. You'll see kids walking around Main Street, not walking around, in Service Day. Throughout the whole Ravenna City area, our kids are involved in service for our social service agencies or just so many other aspects. Here's a fact that it's real. In the state of Ohio, special education is about 10 to 12% for schools. Ravenna, we're at 23 to 27% of our children are special ed. So with those are very high costs. You can imagine a child with autism or any of the special needs, and there's professionals in here who knows what I'm talking about. These costs are incumbent. At one time, there was Happy Day School. Some of those children now are part of our school district with their real needs. They're kids, but they have special needs. It costs for those type of programs. What the district has been faced to, and I heard some of us talking about the realities of today, more needs. We've had to bring on mental health therapists into our schools, social workers, counselors, therapists, programming for our kids. I just say this for a fact. We know the magic word of busing. We're down, all schools are, 5 to 7 drivers. We're still trying to find them. It is. But those are some of our realities. And I want to just share something what happened during the month of December in the school district. 13 days kids went to school. In those 13 days, from kindergarten through 4th grade, our counselors, therapists, worked 38 lesson plans for our children. There were 82 individual counseling sessions for little people. There were 3 threat assessments. What is that? One of those children, or any of those children, could have been subjected to harm, abuse, or neglect. Those are the ones coming to our school or social services. Our counselors there had 12 small groups working with kids. What are they facing with? Little kids like that are faced with divorce. Also, mom and daddies are faced with those family issues or other family issues. So those kids that are coming to school are beginning to open up about some of their pains and hurts. And then there were 40 individual kids seen individually. The middle school, those same 13 days, there were 4 serious threats of students in their own individual lives that were referred to for very serious counseling and therapeutic programs. 184 sessions with middle school and counselors. That's some of what our realities of what our people deal with in schools. And I didn't realize this, but it was just told to me that some of our kids are fearful and not happy on snow days or vacation days because school is a safe place for them. They get fed, people interact with them, teachers care, custodians care, bus drivers care. Some kids don't have that. And so on snow days when kids are going, yeah, snow day, some kids are not happy. Some kids are not happy on vacation days. And the school is a safe place. And I share this, and these numbers are so real, and we volunteer, we know this. The Ravenna School District has 75% of our families who fall within poverty guidelines. That means 75% of our school families don't know where our next meal is coming from. All of our kids are eligible for free breakfast and free lunch. There's a reality. And we're so grateful, like for Raven Packs, there's 30 or 40 people that come together weekly, and what they do is they put together a package for kids to take home. And what do the kids take home? Bread, soup, a can of soup, package of rice, macaroni, a can of tuna, cereal, healthy food snacks, a piece of fruit, some fruit, and hundreds of our kids benefit from that. Thank you for all of us who do part of that. So in a sense, what we're passing tonight, I say thank you so much, because education is all of what I've said in here. And Dr. Calfee and there's other professionals in this room, and Matt, from your involvement with the schools, we see our kids. There's kids who don't have clothing. We have clothing shelters for our kids to have clothes. in all grade levels. There's teachers who wash kids' clothing because we have washers and dryers who don't have that. There's wonderful individual programs that are going for education. You heard the good things that are happening with the academics, but just some of our realities. So this levy that's before us is so crucial and key to our community. So thank you for your support, and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone else this evening? Well, Mr. Plow, if you could just keep your comments to 5 minutes, I think.
Yeah,
you-
no problem.
Yeah.
No problem.
I think, and Mr. Harper, can I just tee you up?
Hard to follow that speech.
Yeah. Well, I want to tee up Mr. Harper if I could. Can you talk a little bit about what was that contraption that was discussed last time and the update around that?
Resistograph.
Resistograph.
Is that what you're here to speak upon?
Well, I was wondering if you got one, because I know there've been 4 trees cut down since I spoke to you the last time that all looked pretty healthy. They didn't have any
We are
rotten
not going
trunks.
to purchase one. Our arborist has access to a resistograph and has used it in the community before trees have been taken down.
Good.
We had a conversation at the last meeting, and he will begin to use it even more often.
Well, that's great.
So,
Well, I appreciate
but we
that.
are not purchasing one because he has access to it.
Okay, good. And I'd like to thank whoever got the police department to come down to the street I live on, Madison, and put up a computerized instrument that measured the speed of all the cars going up and down Madison for about a week, and I appreciated that. I think he said they clocked one at 48 miles per hour in the 25, so I appreciate that. But I am concerned because I had 3 signs up there that were 25 mile per hour speed limit signs, and they were taken down. On 2 of the signs, they put up no parking signs, and on the other one, they didn't put up anything. But I'm not sure why they were taken down. I think, do you know why they did that, Tim?
I have no idea.
So anyway, I put those signs up with the permission of the police department, and I paid for them myself, and now they're all gone, so.
When did they get taken down?
I think they were taken down within the last month, but I'm not positive.
Can you
I
check on
just
that?
noticed it last week.
Tim, would you be able to check on that with the street department to find that out?
Absolutely, yeah, I
Okay.
had no idea they were taking that.
Yeah.
Are they
and so-
regular metal signs?
Yeah, they were
Okay.
regular, they were small 25 mile per hour speed limit signs that I put up on existing posts.
That were
And-
already there?
Yeah, and one was right, the house in front, before me going north on Madison, and somebody took my sign down, put up a no parking sign, and I noticed one of the other, I had the other 2 coming south, but the one closest to my house was, to me, the most important. I think somebody either put up a 25 mile per hour speed limit sign after you come off Main Street, one of the red and white ones, which I appreciate, so I just wanted to come up and
Yeah.
ask about the trees, and thank you for the speed, whatever that machine was called.
John, are those your signs?
Yeah, those were
You
mine.
purchased those signs?
I bought them, yeah, I bought them, yeah.
He did get permission, he said, so.
Yeah, I got permission from the police department.
I'll
I
find out
talked to
where they're at.
Andy Word about it. I told him, he checked, and I don't know who you talked to, somebody in the service department, I think you talked
All right, I'll find out.
to. Okay, thanks again.
Thank you.
Hey, good seeing you.
Anyone else this evening like to speak? We'll move on to a report of officials that should be within your packets. Were there any questions regarding those? I think, Chief, I did see the squad, fall of 2024. Should be expecting that, or one of them. Yeah. If there's no questions on the report of officials, do we have a motion to accept as submitted?
So moved.
So moved. Oh, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Moving on to report of the committees, real quick, I'll just add, we do have a request for an executive session at the end of the meetings, just say it now. But the committee meetings will begin on February 12th at 6 PM with utilities. Mr. Moskin?
At this point, there will be nothing for next week.
All right, information systems, Ms. West?
I am planning on reviewing the results of our city survey at our next committee meeting.
Planning, Mr. Karas?
I think we have 3 items on the agenda tonight, and there will be a meeting on Monday.
All right, Committee of the Whole will be on Tuesday, February 20th at 6 PM. Next is Public Health and Safety. Ms. Michael?
We have a couple items on tonight's agenda, and I'm not sure yet, but there's a good possibility we could have a meeting.
And Streets and Sidewalks, Mr. Harper?
3 items for consideration this evening and a meeting to be determined.
And Personnel, Mr. Calfee?
No personnel meeting next week.
Okay, and we'll say to be determined on community and economic development for now. Any updates from the cemetery?
Yes, there's a little bit. The ponds will be treated by a company called Aqua Doc. They'll be treated for, well, algae and anything else that will be contaminating the water, so the ponds will be nice and clean throughout the year. So that'll be really nice. That way, anyone that walks through the cemetery or drives by won't see anything that shouldn't be there. And then the other thing, there was a $77,000 carryover for this year. So right now, financially, things are looking very good. So parts of that money were being talked about to not split up half and half, but in some kind of portions to go toward, I'll say, future paving in segments. Of course, can't do the rest of it, that'd be impossible. And then possibly a chunk going toward the chapel. Of course, that's going to be an astronomical feat, but at least putting something toward it will be a start. And that's all for the cemetery.
You mentioned the bridge last time. Was there any update on the bridge? Those done?
No, not yet. Mr. Finney was
Yeah, we're still
getting
working
some,
through some of the details with that. We're working in the right direction.
Okay. All right. Any updates from Parks and Rec?
I feel like I can't do the morning announcement voice that you do. I feel like, that's what you're doing. But a couple things. The interior of the Tower Lodge has been repainted. Our youth volleyball program has began, and the first session of the spring 2024 gymnastics is underway. On our agenda tonight is the Parks Board had selected the GPD group for the firm to do the design for the Osborne Park. So we're voting on that tonight, and that's about it.
All right. And softball signups began, so we did that. But with that, then we'll move on to first reading of ordinances, beginning with ordinance number 2024-009.
An ordinance accepting a donation to the Ravenna Fire Department in the sum of $1,000 from the Swage Law Company, recording estimated revenues in the sum of $1,000, and appropriating the sum of $1,000 and declaring an emergency.
Sponsored by Public Health and Safety. Ms. Michael?
This is, it's been an annual donation. It's a very generous donation that we do receive from Swagelok. And it's just accepting the donation. There is no match, and I just want to say thank you to them. It's a very gracious gift on them.
Any questions? Hearing none, do we have a motion to waive the 3 separate readings?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Calfee?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Ms. Wood? Oh, sorry. Mr. Harper?
Yes.
And a motion to adopt the emergency clause?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Calfee?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
And then a motion to pass the ordinance?
So move.
Second.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Calfee?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
All right, that ordinance is adopted. Next item is ordinance number 2024-10.
An ordinance accepting a donation to the Ravenna Police Department in the sum of $1,000 from the Swage Law Company, recording estimated revenues in the sum of $1,000 and appropriating the sum of $1,000 and declaring an emergency.
Also,
This is, and this is the same as the previous ordinance, and another thank you to Swagelok for this donation, and it is just a donation with no match.
questions? Do we have a motion to waive the 3 separate readings?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
And then a motion to adopt the emergency clause?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
And then a motion to pass the ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
All right, that ordinance is adopted. Next item is ordinance number 2024-11.
An ordinance accepting a donation to the Ravenna Police Department in the sum of $250 from the Ravenna Elks Lodge, recording estimated revenues in the sum of $250 and appropriating the sum of $250 and declaring an emergency.
Also sponsored by Public Health and Safety.
Accepting another donation. And again, thank you to the Ravenna Elks Lodge for the donation. We appreciate it.
Any questions? Do we have a motion to waive the 3 separate readings?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
And then a motion to adopt the emergency clause?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
And then a motion to pass?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
All right, that ordinance is adopted. Next item is ordinance number 2024-12.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to accept the 2024 OCJS State of Ohio Body Worn Camera Grant Program in the sum of $10,425 and declaring an emergency.
Also Public Health and Safety, Ms.
And
Michael.
again, we're passing an ordinance to accept the money. It's another grant that our police department has received. This is going to be a great asset to our department, and there is no match. So I say we take the money.
Take the money and run.
If there's no questions?
There's
is
a
there-
question.
Yep.
On our grant and with the purchase of these cameras, how many of our patrols will wear the camera now? Is it all of them, all the time, or is it just a portion?
Everybody wears a camera.
Okay.
So, the patrol, when the detectives go out, so the idea is, getting the more cameras is to supplement the existing cameras that we already have.
Okay.
If there's no other questions, do we have a motion to waive the 3 separate readings?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
And then a motion to adopt the emergency clause?
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
And then a motion to pass the ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
All right, that ordinance is adopted. Next item is ordinance number 2024-13.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with Montrose Ford to purchase 3 new vehicles for the Ravenna Police Department from Fund 553 and declaring an emergency.
Also Public Health and Safety, Ms. Michael?
This one, I think, might have been discussed when I was out. I don't remember that being on the committee. Jeff, do you, or Brian, do you want to talk about this? Is it pretty much what it says, the purchase of the 3 vehicles? Are we getting rid of 3 vehicles, or we're adding on to?
Chief?
So we're replacing some of the vehicles that we have. So right now, we have some 2018s that we're going to take out of service and replace them with the new vehicles. And then the old vehicles that we have, are going to rotate those into the city fleet, whoever's interested in getting those. So yes, they're replacing. Actually, we're getting 6 cars because the 3 cars that we got for last, or were supposed to get for last year, didn't come in until January. So it just so happened that the 3 cars that we're going to order for this year, they all came in at the same time. So we're getting 6, and those are going to replace the truck and all the 2018s.
So what, when you said what, they'll go back into the city fleet, will they, like, other departments will use them, or?
Yeah, we've talked to the street department and engineering, I think, wants one. We'll probably use one for a DV vehicle, a detective vehicle. But
Okay.
some of them are not gonna be mechanically sound to use because they're that old and have that many miles on them. But the ones that are still serviceable, going from point A to point B, would be good for engineering or the water department or anybody else that's interested.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any other questions? Comments? Hearing none, do we have a motion to waive the 3 separate readings?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
And then a motion to adopt the emergency clause?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
And then a motion to pass?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
All right, that ordinance is adopted. Next item is ordinance number 2024-14.
An ordinance amending the codified ordinances of the City of Ravenna, Part 10, Streets, Utilities, and Public Services Code, Title 4, Utilities, Chapter 1044, Sewers Generally, Section 1044.02, Use of the Public Sewers Required, and declaring an emergency.
And this says public health and safety. Is this utilities? Sponsored by utilities, Mr. Moskin?
Okay.
Or we can ask Mr. Finney if there's any updates on this, or if it's just,
Oh, no, it was public health.
it was public health and safety. Okay.
Well, we talked about it, maybe.
Yeah. Okay. Is there any questions on this? Bringing it up to speed with the, is it the EPA regulations? Is that what I remember about this?
Yes, that's
Yeah. Okay. Well, if there's no questions, do we have a motion to waive the 3 separate readings?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Then a motion to adopt the emergency clause?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
And then a motion to pass the ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
All right, that ordinance is adopted. The next item on the agenda is ordinance number 2024-15.
An ordinance amending the codified ordinances of the City of Ravenna, Part 10, Streets, Utilities, and Public Services Code, Title 4, Utilities, Chapter 1052, Stormwater Management and Finance, Section 1052.08, Erosion and Sediment Control Plan, and Section 1052.09, Illicit Discharges, as amended in Exhibit A, and declaring an emergency.
All right, and this is the EPA update, sponsored by Public Health and Safety again. This one doesn't have it on here. But the updates I think you spoke about, we're just bringing this ordinance up to date. Is there any questions from council or anything that I'm missing or that you want to highlight with this ordinance? And I apologize, Ms. Michael, this was on your committee. So, in the packet, there should be the highlighted,
Oh, that's right. I
Highlighted
remember.
updates.
Okay, yes. And that was what we had talked about. We were trying to figure out, that was talked about in committee, and then, did you guys talk about it further after that?
just the updates with what he had outlined in red. You should see in the packets, the things that were excluded and updated within that ordinance.
This too is based on what the EPA wants.
Yeah. I see.
All right?
Yeah, I remember, right here.
Yeah.
And was Dominic able to update the right way as what we had talked about, so that it was given to Chelsea in the manner that, because there were some questions I remember on the wordage of it, on how it was supposed to be presented to her?
It's fine.
Is it good?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Anybody have any questions on this? Okay,
All right. We have a motion to waive the 3 separate readings?
so moved.
Second.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Then a motion to adopt the emergency clause?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
And then a motion to pass the ordinance?
So moved.
Second?
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
All right, that ordinance is adopted. Next item is ordinance number 2024-16.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to advertise for bids according to law for the 2024 paving program to include asphalt, concrete streets, crack ceiling, and sidewalks pursuant to specifications now on file in the mayor's office and declaring an emergency.
All right. Mr.
There's
Harper,
been a lot of
switching
discussion
gears.
about this, a lot of great projects happening, the streets this summer, final phase of South Freedom Street, the brick section, and Main Street, and many other projects to this program. So we're looking forward to it.
And if you need a headline for tomorrow, right under the school, this is it, the paving.
Main Street.
Yeah, Main Street paving. So, was there any questions from council on this? Hearing none, do we have a motion to waive the 3 separate readings?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
And a motion to adopt the emergency clause?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
And then a motion to pass the ordinance?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
All right, that ordinance is adopted. Next item is ordinance number 2024-17.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to advertise for bids according to law for the 2024 painting of pavement markings and striping pursuant to specifications now on file in the mayor's office and declaring an emergency.
And this is also sponsored by Streets and Sidewalks. Mr.
Yeah,
Harper?
this is an annual program we do. Covers crosswalks, school zones, turning lanes, and remarking of all the new paved roads we'll have next year.
Any questions, comments? Hearing none, do we have a motion to waive the 3 separate readings?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
And a motion to adopt the emergency clause?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
And then a motion to pass the ordinance?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
All right, that ordinance is adopted. Next item is ordinance number 2024-18.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with GPD Group to design the traffic signal upgrade at King Street and Main Street and appropriating $12,000 from Fund 224 and declaring an emergency.
And this is also sponsored by Streets and Sidewalks. Mr. Harper?
Yeah, there's also been a lot of discussion about this. I don't know if there's any additional questions, but it's pretty straightforward.
I have a
May
question.
just interject. I did get a phone call from Steve York, who is the business manager for the schools. And he asked if it would be possible, if there are any meetings with this, since the school is directly involved, if he and the superintendent could be made aware of those and be able to attend.
Well, you're coordinating those meetings, so.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think at this point, we're just waiting for the survey to come back, and then decisions will be made. Until then,
The only thing I'd like to say is the $12,000 that we are spending for the survey, we know what the survey's gonna come back and say. 90% of the time, it's gonna say that that light is not needed. Again, could that $12,000 be used towards fixing the, and keeping the light? Because whether that survey, it's one of those things that I'm strongly against, because of the school being there, and I do understand that you want to put, a different form of crossing there, but I still don't think it takes the place of a light. So if we're spending this $12,000 for this study, that $12,000 could have been used for towards the cost and replacement of if we were to keep that light.
So. the
I mean, I
12
know why we have to have the study, legal reasons,
so
I
the-
understand.
The $12,000 is sort of the maximum, and it'll be, the work will be done in stages. The first would be the warrant analysis. Once that's completed, they will present options to city council. And if you don't like those options, then they'll design the intersection, the full intersection.
So how did you arrive at 12,000? The way I read this, the basic services we need them to do are a little over 6,000. And then what they call if authorized services, which I assume they're only going to do if we say to do them, one's only 764. I think that's if AMATS isn't able to do the survey, they're going to do this 72 hours.
Traffic counts, yeah, that's.
And then the
specifically
big one is 15,000. And so why are we allocating only 12? Or why are we allocating 12 if we only need a little over 6? I mean, I'm confused about the 12,000.
It should not exceed that. $15,000 is a very high price for an intersection. So I can't answer that right off.
Well, but if we ask for service number 2, they're quoting 15,000. I mean,
Okay. Right.
so you're gonna have to come back and authorize or allocate more money?
Or we'll convince them to do it for less.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
okay. I was just wondering, maybe there was already money in the fund or something? Okay.
No.
But ultimately, this council gets to make the decision on what ends up there. Remains a traffic signal, or it turns into a pedestrian crossing only. Those are basically gonna be our 2 options, but we get to make that final decision, along with input from the community, so.
I mean, the contract reads, if authorized basis, only upon approval of the city. It doesn't really say what that means, but you're determining it means coming back to council. Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
So ultimately, council is responsible for approving stop signs, speed limits,
Okay.
traffic signals, removal of traffic signals, ultimately, all of those things.
Yeah, the way that's printed, it sounds more vague than anything, the way that it is in writing.
Any other questions, comments?
Yeah, there was a discussion of removing the Madison, or Myrtle and Riddle traffic signal also. I don't know what council feels.
That one is
Without-
not nearly as used as what this one down here is. The traffic, I mean, the traffic that we see and the pedestrian crossing and the businesses that, I live in that area. I see the people walking, I see the senior citizens walking, pushing their carts to the Dollar Tree. That, where you guys want to remove, that I'm very, very concerned about. That one down here on Riddle and Myrtle, people wonder why that's even there.
I've heard that same comment a multitude of
So-
times.
Was this
Is
just,
that something city council's willing to do?
was it just,
I brought
this
it
just
up the last time.
prioritized then because Main Street's getting done
Yes.
this upcoming year? Is that, okay.
We have to move those poles. First Energy, we're occupying one of the power poles, or 2, which will get relocated, so we have to relocate our system.
Okay.
And to do this study, it's basically for legality though, correct? So we really don't even need to have the study. I mean,
If you're gonna
that's if we want to get rid of it.
Correct.
So that's why we're doing this study.
I will
Cover us.
say, sorry, I will say I'm definitely not a traffic engineer, so I think it'll be interesting to see what they come up with, so we can make an informed choice about it.
There will be a crosswalk there. There will be a crosswalk that stops traffic 100%. How it looks is to be determined.
Or if it will slow them down like the light does, that's.
It will stop, it'll be red light.
It's a red light.
There will be
It's
a red light that
actual
will
red
stop.
light for traffic to stop. It's not just a pedestrian flashing crossing. It's very
It will
similar
stop
to a
cars.
traffic light,
It'll look just like a traffic light.
to stop traffic.
Right. I do agree there needs to be a signalized crosswalk there, but to turn it into a full-blown intersection is another level. But, and I don't know how much that pedestrian crossing gets utilized. If it gets utilized twice a day, I don't know. You know, the school, and this is gonna come out, through the engineer, and we will talk to Steve York. I don't know that they release children out of the front door of that building. Maybe they do. They used to. I don't know how they operate.
Well, they have to deal with the parents too, and they'd like to be there to hear what is said.
Yeah, I invite anyone from council to go down there around it and watch.
Well, then the junior high lets out too.
Yeah.
They have to be considered. They let out at 2:30. It's completely different.
All right. Well, if there's no other questions then, do we have a motion to waive 3 separate readings?
So moved. Second.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
And then a motion to adopt the emergency clause?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
And then a motion to pass the ordinance?
So moved. Second.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
All right, that ordinance is adopted. Next item on the agenda is ordinance number 2024-19.
An ordinance appropriating the sum of $38,496.67 from funds 553, 650, 670, and 677 for the purchase of a salt spreader and plow equipment for the street department and declaring an emergency.
And this is sponsored by Streets and Sidewalks. Mr. Harper?
Yeah, this is just to outfit the new truck that was purchased for the street department.
Any questions? Hearing none, do we have a motion to waive the 3 separate readings?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yep.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
And then a motion to adopt the emergency clause?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
And a motion to pass the ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
All right, that ordinance is adopted. Next item is ordinance number 2024-20.
An ordinance authorizing the purchase of commercial and industrial water meters in an amount not to exceed $100,000 from Ferguson Waterworks and appropriating $64,000 from the water fund and declaring an emergency.
And this is sponsored by Utilities. Mr. Moskin?
Yes, the purpose of this is for the purchase of meters 3, 4, and 6-inch meters for commercial and industrial companies. The reason why these were not purchased in the past is because they still have had life left to them. And these are toward the end of their, I'll say, life expectancy of the prorating by the company of Ferguson Waterworks. And I'll just say, the reason why it's going with Ferguson is because it's 100% compatible with the software that's used. And this company covers approximately either a third to a little over on the eastern side of this country. I can go farther if you want, but
Questions from council?
What's the threshold for bidding these days?
The competitive bidding threshold is 75,000 now.
And this doesn't qualify for that?
Well, we replace meters every year as part of our meter replacement program. Well, that's a good question. I don't know. I mean, I think that's why we were bringing this ordinance, because they were passing it. Well, I don't know. You know, that's a good question. I'll have to talk with the law director on that to see.
If I'm gathering a little bit what is being said, if this is the only provider that meets our criteria of what we have in place, that could be a separate basis on which competitive bidding may not be
This
required.
is an extension of the same project we did a couple of years ago with a $2+ million project where they came in to all your homes and put in new meters and such. And this is the industrial portion of that, so they did not do the industrial meters then because they still had some life left on them, so that's why they're doing them now. But it was not separately bid, so I guess
Tim, is there a timeline on this, Mr. Content, that this needs done?
Well,
Could-
he's trying to be proactive because the batteries are starting to fail.
Because we did go out to bid for the larger, $2 million project, so if you're not 100% sure, then I don't want to vote on it.
That never even occurred to me, that thought never occurred to me until we mentioned that right now.
Well, I think the issue would be whether or not there's something out there that would comply with what what is now in place. To the extent that it's something unique and not capable of being competitively bid, then that's a different issue.
None of that came up in committee, so sorry, I never thought of that.
Can we leave this for second reading, pick it up, confirm whether this needs to go out for bid, and then pick it up at committee of the whole as a special?
I'll make a comment. If you put this out to bid, then a different type of software has to be created to be compatible.
I wondered.
Well, I guess it's not necessarily putting out the bid. That's not the decision right now. To me, the decision is this unique to the situation in the city, and that there is only one vendor that's capable of providing the service? I think that's what the issue is.
No, that's exactly right. And the way these are read with the, I believe it's 3 towers, and with the software, and
proprietary.
Yes, and Andrew mentioned about the batteries. They have a certain lifespan, and once they start to diminish, then they will record a lesser amount of water that's being used. So if you want to find another competitor, I believe there might be one on the West Coast. Then you have much higher cost because one reason shipping, but it's going to be, this company has, might as well say it in smaller terms. I'll just say, since I don't know their exact line, say east of the Mississippi and then going west. And if you want to try to find another company, you can
I think
go
the
for
issue
it.
isn't
and
that we need to, I think
it's a
the
good
issue we
way.
need to determine is whether or not we have to go out to bid.
Uh,
It could very well be that this is the only distributor.
Yes.
There's no other competitors. It could also be based upon our prior purchase. It wouldn't make, there's an incompatibility issue with the software. I just think that we need to clarify that before we vote on it, that's all. And it may very well be we don't have to go out to bid. But anytime there's a purchase over that threshold amount, I think the ordinance should mention the reason it's not going out to bid. That's my only.
Yeah, and these are not, this is not like a construction project. I'm not sure if it falls under that section of the ORC anyway, because these are individual meters that are being bought. They're well under the $75,000 piece. So I guess we need to look at some interpretation of the revised code in that particular section to see if this even qualifies under that
Is it
anyway.
state term pricing too? Does it?
I would think it would be though, if it's, that it, we would be safe.
Well, okay,
Yeah,
no,
so the ORC is generally for construction type projects. So you're building a shed, you're doing some water lines, you're doing a road, and at that construction project over 75,000 needs to go to bid. Usually it's not for piecemeal items that are under 75,000 each, but I could be wrong on that. I want to make sure we're 100% on that.
what was the name of the company, remember?
Ferguson.
No. We had a meeting a while back where there's a company that provides services.
Sourcewell?
Yes.
Yes.
So if part of, your determination here could be to check with them, maybe Ferguson's listed there. That would be a simple way to get past it.
Yeah.
I guess my only point is, if we're going to vote on something that exceeds the threshold, then I think the threshold should be mentioned in the exclusion why it's not going out to bid. Because I think we can run into trouble down the line if somebody sees that we've passed an ordinance that exceeds the threshold and there's no reason for why we did that.
Well,
come up.
I'll just say, there are other companies out there, but they will not be compatible.
Okay. My point is, when we do our business here, we should provide the justification up front why we're not going to bid. That's my only point.
I think there's several questions out here right now. There's about 3 or 4 going on. I think the point that Brian made about an individual meter costing less than $75,000 may well be an important question to answer, including the other things that came up about whether it should be bid or not. I think we get answers right now. I don't think we keep introducing additional questions into the process right
Well,
now.
there are, if I'm not mistaken, a total of 11 meters of 3 different sizes.
So if you're comfortable, Brian, can you get answers by maybe even the committee meeting if we wanted to do the special, if we have answers by
We
then?
can get them tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah. Well, then we'll,
It's fine, and this isn't life or death.
yeah,
You have time to check it out.
okay. Is there any other questions you want to stack up? All right, if there's no other questions, then we'll move on to ordinance number 2024-21.
An ordinance amending the codified ordinances of the City of Ravenna, Part 10, Streets, Utilities, and Public Services Code, Title 4, Utilities, Chapter 1040, Water Generally, Section 1040.02, Rates and Charges, Disposition of Funds, No Free Service, Billing and Payment, Subsection 2, updating the rate established for the year 2024, Subsection 9, declining block rate special, and declaring an emergency.
And this is sponsored by Utilities. Mr. Moskin?
Yes, this goes along with the increase of water rates according to the, would be the consider of cost of living, using that percentage per year. And the rates would be, when I say water rates, there's a difference between wastewater treatment and water treatment. The process is different. So if you just say water, that would be an improper terminology, I'll just say, since they're both completely different.
Any questions on this item? Anything we're missing, Mr. Content?
This one's the water ordinance here.
Yeah.
And the next one is
Sewer.
What was the increase, 3%? 3.4.
If there's no questions on this, do we have a motion to waive the 3 separate readings?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Calfee?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Ms. Moskin? Or Ms. Michael? Mr. Harper?
Yes.
And a motion to adopt the emergency clause?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Calfee?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
What ordinance are we on, please?
21?
Water and sewer rates.
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
And then a motion to pass the ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Calfee?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
All right, that ordinance is adopted. Next item is ordinance number 2024-22.
And there is a clerical error that has been fixed. It is an emergency clause. An ordinance amending the codified ordinances of the City of Ravenna, Part 10, Streets, Utilities, and Public Services Code, Title 4, Utilities, Chapter 1046, Sewer Charges, Section 1046.08, Basis for User Charge Computations, Subsection C, D, and E, Section 1046.11, Billing Rates, Discount, Late Payment Penalties, Subsection A, by changing the effective date and increasing the bill per charge and declaring an emergency.
And this is also sponsored by Utilities. Mr. Moskin?
Okay, since I didn't mention sewer in the last one, this here is broken down with 2 different ordinances. So this breaks it down since they are separate, different rates apply to each one.
Any questions on this one? Anything we're missing? All right. Do we have a motion to waive the 3 separate readings?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Calfee?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
And a motion to adopt the emergency clause?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Calfee?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
And then a motion to pass the ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Calfee?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
All right, that ordinance is adopted. Next item is ordinance number 2024-23.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to apply for a Connecting Communities grant through AMATS and declaring an emergency.
sponsored by planning, Mr. Karas.
Yeah, we applied for the grant in 2016, didn't get it. It's basically to connect our hike and bike trails and providing pathways for people who are on bicycles or walking. The grant was put together by Judy Watkins and Todd Peets, so, and they just got it to us, I think, just before this meeting. So it's in your packet. It doesn't say how much they're asking for, I don't believe, but this is just for the study. It's not to actually carve out pathways for hikers and bikers. And I believe, you know, it's probably a nominal amount of maybe 20 to 40,000. But anyway, this is just to approve their ability to apply for the grant.
And there is no match.
And yeah, there's no match if we get it.
And if we are awarded, then Todd and Judy will work with the consultant that AMATS selects to perform this report. And if you were to go on AMAT's website, you will see some of the reports that were conducted in the past, and they're pretty extensive and they're very professionally put together. Construction phase would then be on the city. City would pay for that if chosen to move that way. But what a lot of the communities will do then is apply for AMAT's funding to implement those.
It's a really good opportunity, I think. I remember when you had brought this, I think, was it you and Kathy Hammonds originally a while back,
So
at one time?
Carrie McCumber
Yeah.
applied for the first
Okay.
Connecting Communities, and they were funded. I applied in 16, and we weren't funded. But then they asked for a dollar amount and a contribution amount. So I think we put 20,000 with a 5,000 contribution. They had 8 or 10 applications then, they funded 3 or 4. This time, they're just going to fund a couple at $40,000 or $50,000 each. Something like that. I didn't pay attention to it because, as I told Todd and Judy, I'm out of options. I don't know what else to do. So when Todd was suggesting he would put it together, great.
Do we need any support letters from anybody other, okay.
Any questions? Do we have a motion to waive the 3 separate readings?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Kelfy?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
And a motion to adopt the emergency clause?
So move.
Second.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Kelfy?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
And a motion to pass the ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Kelfy?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
All right, that ordinance is adopted. Next item is ordinance number 2024-24.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with T. Manfres and Associates Architects LLC of Ravenna to develop a scope of services for a new Parks and Recreation facility and to appropriate an amount not to exceed $8,000 from the Park CI Fund and declaring an emergency.
This is sponsored by Planning. Mr. Karas?
Yes, so when we asked the architect to make plans for our new safety forces and City Hall, we did not ask them to create plans for Parks and Rec. So this is going back and asking them to now include them in the plans somehow, or I guess the feasibility of it, and then present the plans, whatever they come up with. And they've already been working with Judy and come to the figure of $8,000. That's how much it's going to cost to
So
add Parks and Recs. Yeah.
just a quick question. So why are we using Manfres and Associates?
That's who we
I thought-
used the first time, right?
I thought we used, wasn't there a Josh? Is he with Manfres? I mean, what is Manfres?
Sean.
Okay.
Sean Thompson is now the principal of Ted Manfres Architects.
But wasn't there another architect group that did the original scope of the plans? It was Manfres from the beginning? Okay, I wasn't thinking that they were doing the, I apologize, I just was curious.
It would kind of be awkward to ask another architect.
No,
to
I
step
just,
in.
I didn't know that they were, I knew there were two different people to it, so I just wondered, what their role was. But I wasn't here at the last meeting, so I apologize to everyone that asked a question. I just was curious.
So Judy did ask Sean to revise the contract because originally he took what I had asked him to do and was the two proposals. One, to look at the rack and make suggestions. The second was to work with a new design. And then Judy said she doesn't want to talk about the rack again, to just do a new design. The price should come down. Sean's on vacation for a week or two, so
Okay.
to our knowledge, we didn't get a revised scope. So if you wanted to hold off another,
No, it's okay. I was
reread it
just-
next month, we can.
Well, I don't know.
Or if
How
you
much
wanna-
less do you think it would be?
Couple $1,000s. So they were the architect, Ted was the architect
Well-
for the annex, and so with them having all of the drawings already created, it makes a much simpler renovation.
Right, but our ordinance says not to exceed $8,000, so I think we'll be okay. Pass it
Perfect.
tonight.
I would like to move forward, so we don't waste time.
All right. Questions, comments? Do we have a motion to waive the 3 separate readings?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yeah.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Cares?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
And a motion to adopt the emergency clause?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Cares?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
And then a motion to pass the ordinance?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Cares?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
All right, that ordinance is adopted. Next item is ordinance number 2024-25.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with GPD Group to design a conceptual plan for Osborne Park and appropriating $10,000 from the Park CI Fund and declaring an emergency.
And this is sponsored by Streets and Sidewalks. Mr. Harper?
I think it was supposed to be planning.
Yeah.
In fact, when we had our last meeting, I think the Parks and Rec group were meeting that night to choose GPD to do, if you remember, Bob had asked for this design several months ago, and then we said, well, we wanted it to go out to a more competitive process. He drafted up a request for proposals, and out of the groups that sent in proposals, GPD seemed to be the best option. So this is to design the park, I guess what we're calling Osborne Park. Is that the official name now, or?
That is the official
Oh, okay.
name, but it can be changed at some point.
All right.
I don't know what the time frame is, but we had to declare it something when we took the grants originally to clean up the property.
So it's
Okay.
$10,000.
Who is Osborne?
Is that the company?
The original
John
owner
T.
of the-
Osborne owned Concrete Plant,
Okay.
originally in Mentor, and then ended up buying 5 of them, Smith and Cowan. And the long story is, he wanted the one in Kent to be competitive with Horning, I think.
Yes.
He didn't want this Ravenna plant. This came in the package of, I think, the auction.
So he donated the land, is that?
He
He
did.
did.
Well,
He did as
Yeah.
long as it-
sounds like a
Simple way to
great
get-
name.
Put your name on something.
It had to be named, the park though had to technically be named after
Okay.
him for us to receive the property.
And he's passed away years ago. He was an older man, but the company still exists, I believe.
Yeah. All right. If there's no other questions, do we have a motion to waive the 3 separate readings?
So, second? Did you-
Yeah, I started to say so moved, and yeah, we're good.
I was trying to time it right.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Cares?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
And then a motion to adopt the emergency clause?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Cares?
Yes.
And then a motion to pass the ordinance?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Cares?
Yes.
All right, that ordinance is adopted. Moving on to resolution number 2024-26.
A resolution in support of the passage of the $2,700,000 emergency levy for the Ravenna School District.
All right, and we heard from Mr. Wisniewski earlier today. Appreciate you coming in again. Any questions on this, comments?
I have one just in case, asked by any residents. What would the increase of the property tax be per 100,000 there? The reason I'm asking, sometimes residents will ask something, and if there's no answers, and stuck.
Do you happen to?
The numbers that were found to us is that the average house in Ravenna is a $100,000 house, would be $242 a year or $20 per month.
Is there any other questions from council? Well, I'm in support of this. I'll just go on the
Thank you.
record by saying that 100%. Do we have a motion to pass this?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Moving on to ordinance number 2024-27.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to accept and appropriate $30,000 from First Energy to Industrial Commercial Properties, ICP, as compensation to Industrial Commercial Properties, ICP, for their execution of the easement to First Energy to permit an electrical easement to First Energy and declaring an emergency.
This is sponsored by council as a whole, but Mr. Finney, do you mind, is there anything updating on this that you want to speak to?
No.
Yeah.
No, what I felt was needed to keep this project moving. And the original dialogue that I had with ICP 6 months ago seemed to change a couple months ago. And we did meet with them, and this was our proposal to them to keep them moving with the electricity. We still have issues with the sewer easements, as we had discussed last year, early in the summer, I believe it was, but we did agree to move forward with the electric easement first, and we'll worry about the sewer at a later date.
I've raised concerns about this, maybe not publicly, but, you know, we passed an ordinance last month to give an easement to First Energy under the assumption we were getting $30,000. And and we didn't even have the easement in front of us when we voted on it, which always makes me feel quite uneasy. I've seen it subsequently, and it's fine. I don't have any concerns with that. But I worry that sometimes we kind of, without a whole lot of thought, make these decisions that $30,000 just gets passed on to another company. And I get it. I get it. This is a better option than I believe the first one. But sometimes I think how we handle decisions about money is a little bit awkward, or I almost want to say hypocritical at times. Just as an example, we're engaged with a consultant to look at our historic district. And when it first came up, we were looking at about a $30,000 price tag for that particular initiative. And there was a lot of concerns that it was way too expensive. You know, so $30,000 became a big issue. Now, we did subsequently, with the help of Bob, and get a grant. And so the amount of money the city had to spend was substantially less. But here we just, you know, we were going to make $30,000, and maybe we should have been asking for more. And then in a month's time, it goes to somebody else. And I don't know, sometimes I just feel very out of the loop that sometimes these things are happening at a rapid speed, and nobody's really putting the brakes on and saying, well, you know, is this the right way to handle this? Or are we thinking about money one way when it has to do with economic development, but then when it has to do with something like historic, you know, preservation, we somehow put a different value to the money? You know, do you understand what I'm saying? So it's just a comment. I'm in favor of doing this. I get what's happening, but I do feel sometimes that we're a little bit out of sync with this, and perhaps this whole thing should have been brought at one time instead of being left on the agenda for months and then a passage, and then a month later another change in direction. Hope I'm not speaking out of like some abstract thing, but that's, I don't know. I'm just raising my concerns. And hopefully we can avoid that awkwardness in the future.
Appreciate the comments. Any questions, comments from anyone else? And Bob, how long has this been you've been working on this easement?
We were told at one point they were gonna start right after Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
which means sometime in October, I think we started with them. There's been so many hiccups along the way. Why did First Energy take 2 years to get to this point? Now almost 3. There's just so many little things that
Yeah.
we wish wouldn't have happened.
Yeah. So I understand, Rob, where you're coming from. I'm hoping that this keeps the momentum moving forward on this project then. Okay.
We're not going to hand the check over until we know that they've signed that.
If there's no other questions from council, do we have a motion to waive the 3 separate readings?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
And a motion to adopt the emergency clause?
So move.
Second.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
And a motion to pass the ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
All right, that ordinance is adopted. That's everything on first reading of ordinances. We have nothing on second reading of ordinances. We have one item on third, which is ordinance number 2023-133.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an economic development revolving loan fund administration agreement with the state of Ohio, Ohio Department of Development, Office of Community Infrastructure, as required by the state of Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
And this is sponsored by Community and Economic Development. I spoke to Ms. Wood, and she had requested that we postpone this vote until the next council meeting. Would that be all right?
We still don't have it from the state, so we should definitely do that.
So whatever the date is for the next council meeting, if someone could make a motion to, March 4th, thank you. Monday, March 4th, if someone would like to make a motion to postpone that vote till then.
I can make a motion to postpone this until the March 4th meeting.
Second.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Ms. Wood? Oh, Mr. Harper?
Yes.
All right, that is everything on third reading of ordinances. Is there any old or new business to come before council tonight?
I do have old. I received a message that somebody was watching on Zoom, and I think people that are watching, they wanted me to bring up tonight and ask Mr. Seaman and Mr. Content why they can't pick up leaves that have been yet to be done. Also the leaf bags. Certainly, there will be weather here soon that allows for this. Why should the people have to bag leaves for the garbage? No deadline was ever given for putting leaves to the curb. Thank you. So that was a question that was asked by a resident. I don't know if there's an answer for that with the leaves right now. If there's any opportunity, with the weather that we've had, that they're able to do that.
I thought the schedule for recycling included leaf pickup, and I thought it ended sometime late fall and begins again.
When we had that first big snowfall, that's basically when the leaf picked up.
I mean, I remember it's not as exact as the recycle,
So,
We usually try to tell everybody that, hey, once that first big snowfall hits, it's done. And I think it says that in the actual recycling.
Oh, okay.
okay, so even though we haven't really had much of snow, they haven't had a chance to,
Yeah, we do switch trucks.
They switch trucks?
They put those trucks away, they put them into service, and then we get our plows out and get those services going.
okay.
You take the beds off some of them.
Yeah, we do. Take the beds off.
So it has to do with changing the trucks around, so if you said it exactly how they wrote it, so if, hopefully they understand.
It's tough. We've had a lot of people actually call up about that.
I think because the weathers have been so different compared to what they've been in the years, and we, just adjusting it just right, it makes it really hard, you know? Okay, thank you.
Can you imagine changing those trucks over every time the weather changed?
No.
Those guys would be sick.
And my one other question under old business is, I know, I don't know if Christina, on your next, when our committee meetings, if you will have any of that updates on the computer questions that went out, the survey?
Yeah, my committee meeting will be presenting the city survey.
Okay, so that will be coming up in a committee meeting, okay, all right. I had a couple people ask if we ever got that, and I said, no, that you were working on it, but I wasn't sure if it would be presented at a council meeting,
No, I'm
committee
going
meeting.
to present it at the committee meeting.
Okay, all right, thank you.
All right. If there's nothing else, then, Mr. Harper, any comments tonight?
I'd just like to thank Mr. Wisniewski for coming out and talking about the school district. He was spot on with a lot of that information. And unfortunately, that information doesn't always get out, so I was very thankful to see him out spreading that information tonight.
Ms. Michael?
Yeah, I would like to also say, you know, being a Ravenna resident, graduating from Ravenna High School, both my boys graduating from Ravenna High School, my mom and my grandfather. I'm very satisfied, even recently with my boys that have just recently graduated. So I'm, you know, really proud of where we're from, and the teachers that we've had in Ravenna have all been wonderful. And I honestly have had a great experience with all of them, and I'm happy to support Ravenna moving forward. I think it's important that, along with rebuilding our city, that we keep our schools strong too, because with the new businesses coming in, you know, we want to retain people moving in here as, you know, homeowners, families. We need that in our community. We need to bring back more home ownership, less rentals. That's something that, you know, I really would like to see.
Mr. Karras?
No real comments. Tomorrow is the second meeting of the comprehensive plan. I think it's steering committee or whatever it's called. And I think it's going to be discussing things like you're talking about, Ms. Michael, home ownership, strong schools, whatever we can do to plan for a better Ravenna.
And I apologize, I said I would start over here last time. And I didn't,
right.
so-
I was going to brought that up.
Yeah, on the record. On the-
Ears over here, so, you know, we're blowing your way.
On the record, my apologies.
That's fine, you can go to Christina next. And
Mr. Boskin, you want to go?
No, you're next.
Okay.
My only comment was going to be the order in which the members gave their presentation.
I anticipated that. I could feel it. I could feel it.
No additional comments, thank you.
Okay, I have a couple things.
Was I really supposed to go?
I just wanted to encourage everyone this year, if people haven't or not plan to visit the various departments. And the other thing, this is Ravenna's 225th anniversary. It's quite special. I've heard a little that's being planned, but I believe this is what I'll call a special occasion. So I'm hopefully that, I know everyone's schedules are different, so I'm hopefully that everyone might be able to do something. So I don't know if it's supposed to be a one-day event or a few weeks or through a month or what, but I believe it'll be something quite different, because if we look back, there's, I think, a lot more history in this town than what some people realize. So I'll just leave it at that, those two articles.
Do we know, Paul, where all of the, like, is it on our website, like, where, like, Ravenna birthday festivities are? What exactly, is council involved in anything?
To my knowledge, there's nothing been printed on, you mentioned website, to my knowledge, no. And,
Because I haven't heard of anything, really.
Okay.
myself. So I was just curious, you're, you know, talking about it, but what,
I think Main Street was working on something. And I know Matt Wonderly was talking about it last year, doing something, bringing together community members to plan something, so.
You're right, there's, from my knowledge, not a lot planned. It's a lot, I'll use the term broadcasted. But I would like to find some things out myself so that it doesn't, we can't say one day, well, it's gone, now it's too late.
All right, and Ms. West. Yeah.
I just wanted to piggyback on what you guys were saying about the Ravenna School District. I have the honor of working with them through my employment, my day job a lot, as well as being a preschool grandparent. And the things that I've seen the preschool do just this last year have been phenomenal. The field trips, the parental involvement, the support groups that they've formed for parents have been really great. And I've seen a lot of success with the preschool. So I was really happy to have Bill come tonight and speak on that.
All right, Mayor, turn it over to you.
Okay, I'm waiting down the list of things. I do want to tell you, we have a proclamation that we will deliver tomorrow to Susie Cole, who owns the tea shop next to Jack Cole's Insurance. She celebrated her 30th anniversary with the store that she has there. And Chelsea has put together a very nice proclamation, and we will deliver that to her tomorrow. Chelsea is the only one I know that's been pushing to get something done with the birthday thing. And one of the things we've talked about is having an open meeting of anybody who has an idea, to invite them in and meet with them and see what we can do with it. This isn't a long ways away. It's fairly close. In June, here in town is going to be very busy because you've got Juneteenth, Art on Main, now this event. So we'll be lucky to get it all squeezed in, but we'll find a way. You should know that we had a meeting with the car show and Trish, and that thing has grown, but I'm a little concerned that it's going to grow more. With that, she's got the Summit Racing involved with this, and they're going to have an area where people can park their cars and pay to park their cars at her place going towards Route 14. And they'll be charging them $25, but in return, they'll get a gift certificate from Summit Racing to go to their stores and shop, those sorts of things. But this could increase the numbers of people because Summit Racing is putting a flyer in every bag that somebody buys something there. The gentlemen, our chiefs were there. They were pretty quiet. And I don't mean that's a bad thing. But this event is quite huge already. I guess the bus system, we're going to have another meeting in April. And any of you are willing, if you want to come, you're willing to come. But we're going to have a meeting in April to get the groups together. We were missing some people. We didn't have PARTA at that meeting, and there's a couple of other people that are integral to the functioning of that. So we want to get them all together and get control of it. The good news is she plans to share the funds with it so that it doesn't cost the city quite as much. If she takes in enough money, she wants to start paying for it. So that part was good. The State of the City address, I'd like to do that early in March, probably similar to the way we did last year, since it does allow people to watch on television. And I don't want to have it at a regular meeting, but maybe prior to the planning committee meetings in March. I'd like to have that. I'm getting the information in now from the departments. Most of them have already turned it in. I talked to you about Mr. York. With that, I think I'll stop there, Andrew. Thank you.
All right. And we did have a request to go into executive session for pending legal.
Yes.
Okay. We have a motion to go into executive session.
Good times, right? I'll make a motion to go into executive session for pending legal matters.
Second.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Calfee?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. Michael? Mr. Karas?
Yes.